contraception is illegal there. They want everyone to procreate and make a big North Korean army. That's what they want. Driving down the bus and there's a kid with a toy AK-47 gun, and as we drove past, he like aims out of the bus.
Whoa!
Oh, what if the room's bugged? This, that, and the other. And he goes, "Trust me, the room's not bugged." And he goes, "How do you know?" And he goes, "Watch this. Kim Jong Un's a like inside the room."
No, man.
Religion's illegal there. Religion is totally banned. A lot of Christians will try and come in and spread the word of Jesus, and which will just
leave a cheeky Bible behind.
Leave a cheeky Bible
read
behind.
this fucking novel, man. What's going on? You'll never guess what happens to Jesus, bro. Did you have a wank in North Korea?
Did I have a wank?
No, and be like straight up. No, because I was thinking of. I was
not expecting that.
Welcome back. It's another episode of the Fellas Podcast. You like that one? I'm changing it up every time now.
You fumbled it. That one caught me off guard.
By the way, I've noticed for some reason your energy's mad low today.
Is it actually?
Yeah, I've caught a really bad vibe.
You know what it is? It's the dog.
It's the dog. Oh no, what are you pissed?
It's 6 a.m. He's sleeping in the crate now. I could just hear him crying, and I'm like, "Oh mate, you're breaking my sleep up."
Shut up.
Like, so I've been up at 6, then I'm up at 6:30, then I'm up at 7.
You're like Lewis complaining about being up at 6.
I didn't manage to get. But the thing is, I wasn't planning to be up at that time, so now I'm just like, I'm a little bit of a sleepy cow.
I've never heard somebody refer to themselves as a sleepy cow.
I'm a bit sad at you.
Why?
I dropped you a message yesterday trying to help out, and you just aired me.
Yeah, mate, that's so normal. I don't get replies.
Respond because I'm trying to help him out.
I've not aired you. I'm still planning to respond.
Anyways, guys, look, the banter's been atrocious off the rip, so we brought somebody else in to help us out. It is none other than Marshall Michael K. There it is.
An actual basement then.
This is, mate.
It's real, man.
If you did it in a studio, it might be a bit more efficient. But it's actually an actual basement.
This is a real
basement, man.
Well, did you not meet my mum when you're up there?
Is that with your mum?
Yeah.
She's a dime, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is a dime.
She's a dime. Yeah, she was. She just actually left the house when I got there.
Oh, right. Oh, well, lovely woman.
Lovely woman.
She has not been to North Korea, though.
Angel. She hasn't. No,
I've told my mum, actually. I said it to my mum and Truffle Pig, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I told her, like, I want to go to North Korea. It is just, seriously, it's on my bucket list.
Is it somewhere that because it's not for everyone.
Clearly.
You know what I mean? It's not like, it's kind of, you have to be kind of quite obsessed, quite nerdy kind of. Everyone that was there, well, when I went, it was a bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
We were a bunch of nerds.
I think like me and Chip could fit into that. And it's on my list, but anytime I've brought it up, I've been told strictly you're not allowed to go.
You've been told by
Truffle Pig.
By the missus.
By the missus. And also my mum would just really not like
That's
it.
why you don't tell them.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you
just don't say
I've been to places and then I've got there. When I was in Baghdad, I got to Baghdad and then I called my parents and I was like, look, I'm in Baghdad. Because it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Facts. That's kind of what I did when I had appendicitis. And not that it's quite the same thing, but I went to the hospital and I belled them just before my surgery. I'm like, just so you know that I'm about to have surgery.
About to be out,
My mum started going fucking crazy, and I was like, I should have just waited till
you
after
wait
the
till
surgery.
afterwards. You wait till afterwards.
Yeah.
Always.
But yeah, so there's a lot of people, our viewers, that might not necessarily know who you are. I mean, we've kind of briefly touched on it, but could you just give us a quick rundown because you are a fascinating bloke.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, so I started doing. I mean, you guys, you're YouTube royalty, right? And actually, my kind of demographic was, a bit different to yours. I wasn't necessarily in your demographic. So you've been doing it a lot longer than me, but about 2 years ago, I just started, I started documenting my travels, man. So I've been traveling for the past 8 years and I started going to these really interesting places. And after a while, I thought, this is something that I kind of want to document. I want to learn to document. I had like an iPhone 8 or something and I was just filming little things I was doing up in Northeast India. And then, as I'm sure you guys have experienced before, you kind of get a bit obsessed by it. Mm-hmm. That feeling of like, no one was watching the fucking videos to begin with. And then I just, I kind of kept chipping away at it. And shit.
You'd be cooking that one up for a minute there.
Like, right, how am I going to get this in? No, so yeah, and then recently it all just started. It just started blowing up.
Exploding, man. Yeah,
exploding.
What do you reckon the first video was that got some traction that started everything?
So, dude, I was an English teacher in Vietnam. The kind of last summer. I've been there teaching there for years, but I was like, right, I was fucking so poor, dude. And I was like, what's the cheapest place I can fly to? And it was China, North Korea, Vietnam borders China. And I had like, a grand to my name. I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'll go to Xinjiang. Now, Xinjiang, Western China is a place that is in the news a lot because it's quite controversial. There is a group called the Uyghurs, an ethnic group called the Uyghurs, who are being oppressed supposedly by the Chinese government. And I was like, I'll just go there and I'll just fucking hitchhike around the place and I'll just have fun. And that series, I remember coming back from China and thinking, if this doesn't go well, if this doesn't make it for me, I'm going to quit because I'll never be able to make anything as good as this. And I made a video called "How to Get a Question by Chinese Police," and I'm in the middle of Xinjiang and I'm hitchhiking with this truck driver, and I get out of the truck in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I turn around and there a police car right behind me. And this is in a super controversial area where you're not. People think it's kind of like people think it's the North Korea of China. It's a police state, a super high police state. And yeah, man, I just had a great interaction with these police officers. They gave me some breakfast, and they sent me on my way. And that kind of video blew up. And then the rest of the series, it was like a 7-video series. It just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And I made one video where I hitchhiked across the whole of China with some other truck drivers to Beijing. And that's now sitting at like 11 million views.
Man, whoa. Insane, bro. Yeah. That must be, and now you're sitting at what? Just shy of 700,000 subscribers?
Yeah. Just shy of 700, yeah. That's sitting at 11 million views, man. So when I made
5 months as well.
It's mad, yeah. I mean, when I made that video, again, I was just like, this was the last kind of shock because I couldn't afford to just keep going on these trips, man. I was teaching English and then I would like quit an English teaching job just so I could go on a trip. Come back broke every single. I loved it. Don't get me wrong, we do it for the love, right? Don't do it for anything else. But
speak for yourself.
Yeah, and it just went absolutely
unreal.
Bonkers, man.
You said you were teaching in Vietnam. Whereabouts were you teaching?
I was in Hanoi.
Okay.
Yeah. I've still got a baby. I still rent an apartment there, but I spent 3 years teaching there. Again, just the only reason I was teaching was because I ran out of money when I was traveling, and I didn't have a degree, didn't have a qualification, didn't have a fucking anything.
So did you just go over there and obviously you speak English fluently? You've gone, you know what? I think I could probably help you lot.
Basically, basically,
you lot stink at speaking my language. Let me help you out.
That's the kind of privileged thing, right? I'm, as a completely uneducated, unqualified white male, I can walk into the other side of the world with no money and go, hey, I can find a job tomorrow. It's mental.
Yeah.
I'm so aware of that. I'm so grateful that I can do that. But literally, man, I was traveling around Southeast Asia. I went out with $2,000 when I was 22 years old, and I spent half my money in the first week in the South Islands of Thailand, right? As you do, it's just
classic,
party, man.
Yeah.
So I've got 10 weeks of this trip left, and I'm like, I had a return flight booked home and shit. I had 10 weeks left, $1,000 left, and I'm like, right, I'll just I'll forget. I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Traveling up through Thailand, met this Dutch girl, fell completely in love with this Dutch girl.
Holiday romance, a classic,
just
classic,
the best,
man.
just this gorgeous girl. Traveling a couple of weeks together to get to Hanoi, and by this point I had about 300 quid to my name, right? And I still had 6 weeks until my flight home, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I was in the old quarter. Have you guys been to Vietnam? You ever been that way?
Yeah. I lived there.
I haven't.
You lived in Vietnam?
Yeah. Yeah, down in Saigon.
Did you? Did you like it?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
I was really young when I lived there, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was sick. I loved it when I was there.
Man. Yeah. There's a place in the old quarter, in Hanoi called the Old Quarter. And I was sitting there one night, just thinking, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm going to have to borrow some money. I just didn't know what to do. And he goes, this guy said, you should be an English teacher. And I said, yeah, but I haven't got this, that, and the other. I haven't got the qualifications. I haven't got anything.
What'd you get in your English GCSEs?
I got C's across, I guess maybe a D and something. I fuck knows, mate.
Well, you stitching up these Vietnamese people.
Dude, I was such a, it was weird. So I was like, I said to this Dutch girl, I said, look, you keep traveling. I'll teach English for a month and then we'll go away. And we did. And then we went away, long story short, ran out of money again, and then it turned into 3 years out there. But with the teaching, man, you're doing a job that you've never done before while you're doing it. It's like any other, do you know what I mean? It's just, and obviously you've told them that you've got 2 years experience, so they're expecting you to be a teacher. So there would be days, man, when I'd be teaching this grammar to the kids and I'd be going, can anyone tell me the answer to number 3? No, literally, can anyone? Because I don't know. I don't. Like, I literally don't know the thing. And I would pick the smartest kid each time. And I'd be like, "Is he right, everybody?" And they'd go, "Yeah, he's right." And I'd go, "Yeah, cool, sweet." You know, it was just, and it was that for about.
You seem like quite a cool teacher to have, though. Did you get along well with the kids?
I got along really well with the kids. I love them. After a while, it got, you know, I started to get really sick of it. After that was one of the things, man. When I was teaching, I was like, I can't do this anymore. This has to work. Like, when you put yourself in a position where, like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to top myself, you know?
Yeah.
And it just had to work. So I put everything in this, into YouTube, you know, as you boys have done in the past.
I've got to know then, what's the situation with the Dutch lady? Are you still with the Dutch lady?
You know what?
Or did you break
we went
up?
to the Philippines together for 3 weeks, and then I never saw her ever again.
No!
To this day. That was 7 years ago, dude, and I've never seen her since. She's now like, we still talk very occasionally, but she's now got a long-term boyfriend. Yeah, man. That was a funny trip as well, because I got there and I got paid in cash, right, in Vietnamese money, which is fucking worthless anywhere else in the world. You can't change it because it's the only place you can spend it, right? Got to the Philippines and I've tried changing it to Filipino money, and they're like, "We'll give you 50% of the rate," right? So I would have burned 500 quid. So I said to this Dutch girl who I'd only just met, I was like, "Look, I need to borrow money for this whole holiday." And it was so emasculating because we'd go out for dinner and I'd be like, "Hey, you're gonna have to, you know, pay for this, and I'll just have to give you everything when I get back to Vietnam." So no wonder she has never seen me since, because
well, fair enough, mate. And did she do it? Yeah,
she did. Yeah, she did, and I paid her back every penny.
Right,
nice,
good man,
nice,
good man.
nice.
Yeah,
that's class.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you've done all that, and then obviously the China video there done really well for you. And then, well, the way that we stumbled across you really was from a recommendation from Proddy over there. He said you got to watch these 2 videos that this chap has uploaded. And I was like, okay, right, I'll get around to it. And then I did, and it was North Korea. Now, are you aware Simon Wilson?
Yes.
Yeah. So we previously had him on, and he was the only other person that we'd had on when it came to North Korea.
Yeah.
And we had such an amazing chat about it. But that was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago now, wasn't it?
2 years ago.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. But,
Really?
but the time that he went to North Korea was much
pre-COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like 19, I think, 2019.
Yeah. So, if you wouldn't mind just starting us out, how do you get an invite to go there? Because they closed it off for COVID, obviously. Like,
yeah,
I've said before, I really want to go to North Korea. Truffle pig and my mum won't let me go.
Yeah.
And I really want to get out there. So how do you book a flight to North Korea?
Just on British Airways, man.
Let me have a look on Skyscanner.
To be fair, there might actually be able to get some from China.
Assuming is that where you went from?
So I basically what happened was, I'd been keeping an eye on the news for a very long time, because I know obviously it's been closed for 5 years, and there was just kind of like rumors in the news that they were going to open it up again, but you never really know because it's the fucking most isolated country in the world.
Yeah.
Government don't say shit, right? So since about last summer, since the China stuff, I was like, right, North Korea, it's going to be opening up, and I knew for a fact that whoever was going to be the first one to get in there and make good content about it and get out, you know, it would be one of the biggest travel videos of the year.
Yep.
So I've known that for a while. So I basically, the only way you can go is through a tour company. You can't just go there. And there are a select few tour companies that do it. So I'm just messaging every single one of them every month, going like, look, when it opens, I want to be in. When it opens, I want to be the first one in there. And yeah, I got the call up. That's literally what it felt like. In January, they go, look, you know, you've been on top of our list for a while. You know, it's opening up, and it kept getting delayed, dude. So I've got like a travel schedule to make content, right? And they said, oh, okay, it's happening in 2 weeks. And I'm like, boom, clear the schedule. And then it would get pushed back another 2 weeks, and then it would get pushed back another 2 weeks. And I've flown to Northeast India to see my friend who lives in a village up there. And as soon as I got to my friend's village, I looked at my phone and they said, it's happening in 4 days. You got 1 hour. You got 1 hour to confirm whether you're coming or not. And it was so I was like, said to my mate, I'm so sorry, I've got to go back. So It was 16 hours there. The following day, I had to go 16 hours back to Vietnam, collect my shit, drop my laptop. Because I didn't want to go in with my laptop and all my like shit, because in case they check it, I don't know. It was just, I was sketching out. So I go
bare
back.
bones.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to be, I even got
clothes and camera
phone, dude. I was like, just in case they go, you know, if I've you know, looked at a Kim Jong-un meme, you know,
yeah.
like sucking off Donald Trump.
That's smart though. You played
You know what
that
I mean?
pretty
It just
smart.
would have been a nightmare, you know.
Jim's the type of guy to go in there and start showing everybody the memes.
Not that I've actually,
it's my wallpaper.
I haven't actually got a picture of Donald of that happening, but so yeah, and then they go, right, so you got to go to Yanji. So I've flown from Hanoi to Yanji, which is a city close to the border of North Korea. Fucking minus 15 degrees, dude. It was so cold. I'm knackered. I haven't slept for like 4 days. And I get there and they go, yeah, you guys, there was 8 of us. They said, you were the 8 people to get back to us in that hour, in that first hour. Wow. The North Koreans said to them, look, we're opening up. We need the answer right now, because they need to do background checks. They need to do fucking vet everybody.
Oh shit, man. That'd be scary though. But like, what if you've just done a tweet one time about North Korea, or like you've said something on a pod and they tracked it down?
That's the thing. But here's we can get into this. But my theory is that kind of, I don't think that they really give a fuck, if that makes sense. Like, you know, I've got a video. I had a video that was called, literally, I've got a video on my YouTube that's literally called "How Long Until the Chinese Government Captures Me?" And I changed the title just like the day before I went in. It's now called "Wild Camping in China's Wild West," but it was called "How Long Until the Chinese Government Captures Me?" And it was kind of a bit of a troll, because I was in this area where people think that the Chinese government's going to come and get me, and I was doing all this, you know, stuff that you shouldn't be allowed to do. Anyway, you know, essentially, I'm probably the last dude that North Korea want in the country, because I'm a content creator. I'm going in there to come out and make some kind of engaging video. But yeah, man, so I don't think they really go that deep. I don't think they do. Like, for example, they didn't check my phone shit when I was going in. They didn't check my, you know, my footage. They didn't check any of that stuff.
Interesting.
Because they don't want you taking in like any Western propaganda in, right? So they do a thorough check on the bags and stuff.
Exactly. So they're not really worried about, they're not worried about what you're taking in. They're worried about what you're going to leave behind. So it's more, the reason they check you going in is exactly that. It's because they want to say, right, you go, right, I've got a camera, I've got a phone, and I've got a microphone, and I've got a laptop, let's say. And then when you come out, they need to make sure that list matches exactly what you've got, because people can go in with a memory stick, you know, leave it somewhere, and it's got a bunch of you know, it's Western, you know, shit.
Also,
like, I don't know, man.
Could mess up the country. Though.
Mess up the country, yeah, man. It will like Christians. A lot of like Christians try and do this. They'll kind of, because religion's illegal there. Religion is totally banned. A lot of Christians will try and come in and, you know, spread the word of Jesus and shit, which will just fucking
leave a cheeky Bible behind.
Leave a cheeky Bible
read
behind.
this fucking novel, man. What's going on? Get a browse of this thing. You'll never guess what happens to Jesus, bro.
Do you think they'd even believe it though? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think they're so indoctrinated, dude. And I saw that, you know, when I was there. The kind of the constant kind of love and praise of Kim Jong-un. It's just, you can't escape it, dude.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, anytime anyone says something, there's a video. You guys seen the video of me talking to the school kids?
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing, right? And you know, as a former English teacher, there's a few things you can say to kids to get them to talk. So one of them's like, you know, what's the difference between the country and the city and all this stuff, right? And I go, tell me about the countryside in North Korea. And she goes, thanks to our fatherly marshal, Kim Jong-un, the countryside has been improving, you know? And it's like, you never really feel like you're getting a kind of genuine thing.
But I see, when you say that, right, I'm there like, I agree with that, but then I'm there like, maybe that is them just being genuine, and that's all they know because that's what they've been raised. 100%,
100%. And I don't think that they're kind of like, it's not like a gun to the head. You know, I've got to say this, otherwise I'm going to get done. I think you're right. I think that they truly believe that, you know, he's kind of a god, dude. There's no gods. There's no God there, right? So there's the kind of the equivalent of like what would be a church hymn, you know, when we're like singing about God. They sing about him. And the number one, you know, song, the number one song that comes out, and there's only released a few songs each year, but it's always like top of the charts, and there's like 4 songs in the charts, and they're all about Kim Jong-un. They're all just like, we love him and he's so good for us, and it's just kind of like,
I mean, I've been asking for a fella's jingle for a while, and I mean, a little bit about how great I am wouldn't be the worst thing.
What do you think? Yeah, you get one of those guys to write it for you. And get Defected to come. I've actually got a present for you boys. I forgot.
Oh, no way.
So I've got you a present, and it's got a bit fucked up in my bag, so I'm so sorry.
Mate, that's just right.
But this is a...
no, I saw this.
Sorry, it's got ripped, dude. I'm so sorry.
No.
This
is a postcard. This is an anti-American...
sick.
Anti-American propaganda postcard from like the 50s.
Wow.
And there's a little thing on there.
Mate,
You wrote a message on there.
Dear fellas, may the great nation of North Korea rain fire and fire upon your houses.
Yeah.
Love
that was
my
a bit of my indoctrination that came back with me. That's what I believe now.
Because I saw in the video where you went and you essentially got given a pack of these.
I got a pack of these. Yeah, I got a pack of these, and I gave.
This is sick, by the way. Thank you,
you're
bro.
welcome, bro.
This is so cool.
Like,
and
it's
the
like
thing
a
is,
little anime.
it low-key fits in with this.
I was going to say, you could literally just staple it to that.
We gotta get it on here.
Sorry that it got really damaged.
No, don't worry.
Adds to it.
It adds to it, kind of. But yeah, it's really crazy because you're in the shop, and there's this lovely woman behind the desk, and there's literally they're selling you a poster of like bodies, like a picture of US soldiers' bodies, and they're like crushed.
Missiles like raining down on the US and stuff.
Raining down on the US. So yeah, fucking bizarre, and I wanted to give
Mate, appreciate that. That's incredible.
You're very welcome.
I've got a question mainly around like a lot of the filming side of things. Because obviously I assume they would have known that you were a content creator there. And what were they like? Now, we're sort of aware and being told that they will tell you like, don't film this or blah, 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 don't film that. But what are they like just all around with you knocking around with a camera?
So I was advised on the way in that the best thing to do is kind of don't take the piss on the way in, get them to trust you for those first couple of days, right? And then towards the end of it, you can kind of start pushing the boundaries and taking the piss. So on the way in, it was like, every time I wanted to film, I would say, his name was Mr. Moon, our guide, a really, really lovely guy, man. This guide was, and I'd say, can I take a picture of this? Can I take a picture of that? And 9 times out of 10, he'd say yes. He said, well, I'll either say yes, okay. I'll either say principally no, which kind of means like you can, but if I don't see it, it's okay. Or I'll say no. Yeah. Like not happening. And there's obviously military bases, absolutely not happening. Anything that was like, like anything that could basically be taken away, put in the media in the West, and then made to make them look bad. So, and actually, to be honest with you, I saw poverty, but I didn't see poverty on an extreme level. And by the second day, I was kind of just like filming out of the bus the entire way. I was trying to capture everything I could. We weren't allowed to leave the group, so we weren't allowed to walk.
No free roaming.
There was no free roaming, man. No, there was this Romanian couple who they're the biggest travel channel in Romania, and they were on my tour. And they went off around the corner of some building once to see these kids that were like skating down this ice path. And the guy just fucking panicked, man. He's like, no, absolutely no. I said you can't leave, and he's run after them. So it was controlled. It was really controlled in that sense. Like we weren't allowed to leave the group. But filming wise, yeah, I would just say, can I take a picture of this? And he'd be like, yeah, and I'd obviously be filming it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, dude, it's so different from anything I've ever made because like it was like 50% me vlogging and 50% like post voiceover with B-roll shots and stuff, which isn't how I usually do it, but I knew that was going to be the case. So yeah, they were strict on it, but surprisingly, dude, they were kind of lenient at times.
Yeah, they were definitely. I was surprised at how much you were allowed to film. To be honest with you,
me too.
Particularly, yeah, I just really, and I didn't know whether this was when I was watching. I was like, is this an attempt for them to sort of modernize a little bit and kind of be there, like, look how accepting we are, like, all of this, but. then I mean the title of I think it's part 1 is that the country got have now closed their border, or they
so that's
it opened, you went in,
Then they closed it.
and then I got out and then they closed it. It was mad. And so that I think that video did something like 4 million views in like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Which for me is just insane, right? So
for anybody
it's insane. And I was editing the second one in a cafe in Hanoi, and I got a call from the American guy that brought me in. And he goes, have you heard the news? And I'm like, no. And he goes, they've just closed the borders again. And this is at the time when this video is going viral. So in my head, I'm like, was it because of me? You know, like why else would it? You know,
how can I make this about me?
I know,
such a
in
flex,
my head,
man.
but he said it,
such a crazy
he said
flex.
it in a way. He said it in a way that was like, if I were you, just with the next one, like lay low or like be kind of like chill out a little bit with the, I don't even really know. He just scared the shit out of me, dude. And then. And I was like, do I need to like be careful? Have I like put out something that I shouldn't have put out and now they've closed?
Well, what could have happened to you though? You're out the country by this time.
Exactly. And it was just pure, it was paranoia, dude. And when you go to somewhere like that, you're paranoid so much of the time. It's the only country I've ever been to where I couldn't wait to leave.
You were getting drunk there. That was so.
Mate, that's risky.
I was like, fuck. So part way through, and it's like, I was the drunkest man in North Korea last night. And I was like, that is such a risk because if you're drunk,
if you say a bad thing, you do the wrong thing.
You're right, man. And
fuck it though, you guys.
Yeah, you kind of just whatever. Like they drink a lot of soju over there. The beer is actually banging, dude. I wish I bought back some beers. The beer's really good.
What is that soju? Because I saw the grape one and I was thinking that sounds like a bit me.
It's like I think it's made. I can't remember what it's made from.
How am I spelling it? I can have a look.
Soju, SOJU. It's the national kind of drink of North and South Korea. It's made from, what's it made from?
Fermented rice.
Fermented rice, yeah.
Right.
But anyway, you can drink it like water and it gets you absolutely hammered. But the problem was, I'd get drunk in the hotel, because you can only drink in the hotel bars, there's no like public bars. So I'd wake up a bit hungover and then I'd be like really anxious because, you get a bit hangover anxious anyway.
This is the worst Sunday scaries of all time.
Literally, I'd be going, oh shit. And there was one night, man, this is probably the most, and actually it didn't make the video. There's a guy in the second video that I meet in a bar, right? And I say to him, he goes, well, I'm from Pyongyang. And I go, you a tourist? He goes, yeah, we're tourists. But they were like elite, North Korean elite, high up, like political.
Okay.
Right. And everyone in the comments thinks that he was like a plant to keep an eye on us.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't. He was just there drinking really expensive champagne. And he was like the upper class of North Korea. Anyway, so I'm drinking with him. He comes over and gives us a bottle of soju. We're smashing that. And I didn't put this in the video because it was a bit too sensitive, but I can tell you boys now. He starts coming up to us and he goes, what country are you from? And I go, oh, UK. And he goes, what country are you from? The next guy next to me goes, Australia. He goes, I don't like your countries. So our faces right in the bar, right? And I'm filming it too. So I've got my camera on a tripod there on the bar, filming the thing. I've got the driver that drive us around. Also, you've got to remember, like the driver and the photographer and whoever else we were with, they're all just another pair of eyes to keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
So even the driver, he's not just a driver, he's a fucking, he's a minder. They're all looking at you. And he's looking at me filming this dude go off about like geopolitics. And he's like, I don't like AUKUS. AUKUS is the Australian, UK, US military thing that they've got, military tie. He's like, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like Trump. And I'm like filming this whole thing. And I'm
my God.
Shitting my pants because, the next day I woke up and I was like, God, I've just filmed a, upper class North Korean drunk, who was very, very drunk, talking about geopolitics. And in my head, I'm like, God, that's got spy written all over it, dude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a setup.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. In my head, I'm just like, right, I now look like a fucking, like a journalist or whatever. So I got about the first half of that conversation on camera, and then the guy's looking, so I turned my camera off. But I spent the rest of the time, dude, thinking, get me out of it, man. You go there as a normal kind of person when you're not filming. It could be just a very normal, not anxiety-inducing trip. But I'm there to do a job. I'm there to tell a story, and I'm there to try to push the boundaries a little bit and ask the tough questions and get that footage that I might not be able to get. So it would be a much different experience if you went there as not a content creator. But as a content creator, I spent most of my time severely anxious.
Mate, yeah, I mean, that would be my biggest thing. I have no doubt. I think even if I wasn't filming, I think I would.
I'd just be scared.
I'd be scared because, I mean, I assume you're aware of the story about Otto Wambler.
Yes, okay, yeah, and I chatted to the guy, the company I went with, the company that brought him in, right? So
shit.
And actually,
Promise
that was... If it
great start. Oh, that's good to know, mate.
Yeah. The company I went are the ones that brought him in, and... do you know the full story about all that?
Yeah, I've read the. I mean, if you wouldn't mind, at least give your version of it for the viewers.
So I spoke to the guy that didn't bring him in, but the guy that is a central part of the company that brought him in, and they have the full story, right? So Otto's there. It's like, this is Otto Warmbier. If you're not familiar, Otto Warmbier in 2016, I want to say 2016-17 New Year, he went there on a university trip. He was studying in China, went on a university trip, and he's gone in for like 5 days over New Year's, and they've got pissed up one night, and he's gone onto the floor of a hotel. The news will tell you that it was like a secret floor of the hotel. It wasn't. It was just a staff floor. It was the staff. There were no guests on it, and he's pissed up at like 2 a.m. and this is the last night before they're supposed to leave the country. And there's a poster on the wall that says something like, long live Marshal Kim Jong-un, da-da-da. And he's ripped it off the wall, tried putting it in his bag, hasn't fitted in his bag, and he's just left it on the floor. And he's left, and he's gone to bed, right? Woke up, didn't tell anyone about this. Again, I think they probably could have dealt with it if he told someone, and they could have said, look, they could have gone straight to the hotel staff and they could have explained. But he didn't tell anyone. He just went straight to the airport, and he's about to get on the flight, and agents storm the airport. Literally, as he's on the plane, and one of the guys that was in his group turns around and says, "That's the last time we see you." As a joke, he goes, "That's the last we see of you, Otto." And they got on the plane, and they showed the CCTV. They have CCTV footage of him doing it. And they said, we've taken him back to Pyongyang and put him in custody. And yeah, man, he spent, I think he was there for 17 months. And after 17, he got 15 years hard labor.
Yes.
15 years in prison, hard labor. After 17 months, they drop him at the border of China, and he's completely comatose. Yeah. And he died like a year later. So that was why I was so...
Yeah, mate, because that story in general, he essentially became a political pawn. Yeah, with the US, and they used him to negotiate a lot of stuff. And I would imagine, at least for me, that would always be playing on my mind. Like at the end of the day, they could just say to you, you said something bad about Marshal Kim Jong-un. Yeah. And you go, well, no, I didn't. And they go, it doesn't matter. Yeah. We've sentenced you to XYZ. You are now a political pawn. Yeah. Exactly. Or they just say you filmed something you weren't supposed to film, whatever. Like the smallest misstep, they could turn into a very valuable piece of kit.
Yeah, man.
Or even the moment in the friendship house. Yeah.
Dude, that could have been it up as well, man. That shut me up because in my head he goes, "Do you want to come and write something in the book?" And in my head I'm like, "What the fuck do I write?" And I've been, when you stay in like a hostel abroad, and there's a guest book,
just corny shit.
You just write some corny shit like a fucking 8-year-old would write, on her birthday wish list. I wish peace for the world and world peace, and I just wrote that shit because I didn't want to write thank you for Kim Jong-un. I didn't want to write anything bad, so I just was like, I'll stay neutral. And yeah, man, it was just like you could hear the silence in the room as they looked at this thing, man. I was shitting my pants.
Yeah, because he to describe it, he kind of comes over and he reads it, and then he goes to you, "Do you think this is suitable?"
Yeah.
That would shit me up.
He goes, "Do you think this is
That's like when your parent goes, "You think that's okay to do?"
Man.
You held that down well, though. Bro.
I was shaking, man, and I go, and I'm trying to explain. I'm obviously filming as well, and I'm going, peace. I'm talking about like peace between. I go, in my head, it was like, in my head there was 8 different nationalities in one room in North Korea. That's pretty special thing, and that's a pretty cool thing. So why not write something about that? And I guess I explained in the video, I guess they maybe saw it as like,
you're taking the piss.
You're taking the piss. If you're talking about peace, then you're insinuating that there isn't peace, and maybe that's because you're saying that it's because of us. Anyway, dude, so that shit me up.
What did some other people write?
To be fair, mate, I was the first one to write, and I fucked off as soon as I was like, get me out of here. But I think they just wrote like, "Thanks for having us," kind of thing, which I probably should have done. But
did they just leave your message in there in the end?
Again, I don't know. I told it out the thing, but the freaky thing was, man, on the very last night, there was this one dude with us. What was his name? Mr. Can't remember his name. Mr. Yu, his name was. And he was there apparently as a trainee. He was being trained by the main tour guide. But he was definitely just like some kind of shifty looking government dude that was just there to keep an eye on us.
Yeah.
And he didn't speak very good English at all. He spoke a few words. And on the very last night, I'm having a beer with him, right? So went and bought him a beer. I'm sat down with him. And I said, cheers, mate. And he leans over to my ear and he goes, I wish nothing but peace to the world. You know, like really, which is exactly what I wrote in the book, to the word.
Oh,
and I'm going, oh God, like it was really kind of.
Was it a bit sinister?
I was about to say it felt sinister. It was kind of like, hey, there's this guy that hasn't really said a word this entire time. And he's just quoted exactly what I wrote in the book. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was weird, man. Again, I didn't include that in the video either.
There was another moment where you went to a pharmacy as well, and you start asking about contraception.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're not just fucking shagging for fun out there.
No.
That's like a job. So he says, you ask about contraception, he says like no. He says no filming. What does he actually say about it?
Okay, so actually, again, this is one thing I regret not putting in, or at least talking about. So I said, I couldn't see any condoms, I couldn't see nothing around. So I said to the American guide I was with that brought me in, I said, I really want to ask him about contraception on camera, but I already know the answer. I know the answer. Contraception is illegal there. They want everyone to procreate and make a big fucking North Korean army. That's what they want. So he goes, I'll ask him, my friend. So I'm filming, and I go, hey, anything about contraception? And then the guy turns the camera off. And actually, after that, we had a really kind of positive and nice chat about it. He said, look, we're a country that is constantly encouraging people to procreate. So we actually have the opposite. And he turns around, he goes, what we do have is herbal Viagra. And I got my dad a box of this, actually. I bought my dad a box of this. Made in the DPRK, herbal Viagra.
So you're telling me your dad gets the Viagra, we get the postcards. What sort of stitch up is this, mate? Come on.
I think he needs them more than you.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, after a few beers, man.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So actually, we had a really honest chat about it, and it was a chat I wasn't expecting to have. We talked about it, and he was honest with us. And there were a lot of moments like that happened off camera, man. That obviously it's a shame I couldn't film them, but on the bus he says to us, okay, you want to talk about, it was kind of like this elephant in the room. It was like, here's the pharmacy and here's the beer factory, but really what I want to know is, fucking like what's actually going on here, and so we would kind of have moments like that where we would talk about it off camera. One of them was, he goes to me, your country has negative opinions of North Korea, right? And I go, the media does, yeah. And he goes, well, what do they say about us? And I'm like, what do I say? Like, am I honest with?
Yeah.
And I just go, I say, everyone's in the bus is silent. And I go, they say that you're oppressive. They say that you're, haven't got a great human rights track. And I was saying these things to this guy, and he was, openly, hearing me out and talking to me about it, which it's just something I wasn't expecting. And it really humanized the whole situation. Honestly, man, I think that North Korea, as a fucked up place as it is, this experience definitely opened my eyes to the fact that I think they are genuinely trying to open up to the rest of the world politically with Donald Trump, and it felt like that, man. They were cool. They were cool guys, my guides.
Do you reckon? I got a question. Do you reckon if you say you're at the bar and you meet some North Korean chick, do you reckon you would be allowed to start a relationship or even? Yeah, just take her home, take her back to the hotel.
You know what?
Allowed?
I've asked this exact question. I've got a mate that's been there 13 times that I was with. This was the Justin, this friend that took me in.
You see the American?
That's
an American dude.
This is a next level holiday romance. A little North Korea one, and they're like, fuck, I don't want to go back.
He's the one that told you about the cigarettes, yeah?
He's the one that talked about the cigarettes. So this is an American. So the Americans aren't allowed to go. America have got a ban on their own people. You're not allowed to go to North Korea.
Yeah.
He spent $100,000 to be a resident of an island called St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean.
Yes.
So he's got a passport. He's allowed to go, right?
Sorry, that's what the guy from Yes Theory did as well.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
No shit.
Is it
Thomas?
Omar, the Egyptian guy?
Right. Yeah. Amar. That's it. Yeah, he did the same thing. Because now he can go to Russia. Now he can go to Syria and Iran and shit. And I said, dude, I was like, do you know anyone that's ever fuck's North Korea?
Port to North Korean baddie.
Do you know anyone that's ever hit? And he goes, it has happened. This is really messed
you
up.
want to talk about anxiety, bro? You go crazy.
So he said it's happened before where like tour guides from the US or whatever have come in again and again and again. And it takes a long time to build a relationship. You might see the same female tour guide in North Korea. And after 6, 7, 8 times, you know, you might hit first, second base, right? You might, you know, he said he knows one person that's done it. He said the problem is that's happened before, and this is so messed up, dude. There's been issues of like, you know, people of color, let's say a black guy comes into North Korea for the Pyongyang marathon or whatever, sleeps with a North Korean girl and then gets her pregnant. And obviously the baby comes out, you know, and it's like, it's like mixed race. And then they just, you know, they're like, we've got to send this woman and her baby to the absolute middle of nowhere because no one can see her. No one can see this baby.
Where would they send her?
They would just send them. They would send them out to the middle of buttfuck nowhere, dude. Like,
because you're only getting to see. This was a big thing about it, right? Is it you would only get to see very curated bits, and because this is the big thing is they say like the cities are somewhat okay, but the real atrocities are happening out in these places in the sticks, exactly. And you never even get to go look at these places, or like, did you ever really go to the countryside per se?
Where I was, there was a lot of driving in between, like the border and city, and then we'd go out again. So I did see a fair bit of countryside, but this stuff, you know, if it does exist, is happening. You know, out in the way out in the sticks. Yeah, way out.
Were you in Rasson, weren't you?
I was in Rasson, mate. Yeah. So if you go, I was in Razon there. So obviously you can see where the border is. It's still that's like a good couple of hours drive. So we did spend a decent amount of time in the countryside. But apparently Camp 14. I was reading a book called Camp 14.
Where's that? Sorry?
That was raised in a prison camp. That was kind of in that, you know, probably about a few hundred kilometers northeast southwest of Rasson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I could only. What's that?
It's a big country. It looks like it from here.
I don't know if it's
how
that
big. Is it?
Big.
Yeah.
Wait, it's a concentration camp.
Yeah, so they say there's three types of prison camps in North Korea. There's labor camps, there's another one, and then there's political prison camps. And apparently, again, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know anything. This is just what I've read. And if you go to that third one, if you go to a political prison camp, you're basically never getting out.
Yeah, right. And I assume you didn't ask about any of these camps.
Nah, dude. There's some things you just don't mess with, dude.
There was one part of the video, where you were in that bar and they were playing the music. Yeah. And there was one song about a place called Mount Pyeongtaek or something.
Mount Pyeongtaek, yeah.
And why is it they were celebrating it? Because it's on the border of South Korea, and they're saying, "Oh, we will go to Mount Pyeongtaek."
Yeah.
Is there some sort of cultural significance?
So, yeah. So apparently, Kim Il Sung, who was the first leader of North Korea, he was born on it. Apparently, he was born in a Russian military camp. But they are told that he was born on this mountain. Yeah. And you know that's why it
looks amazing.
It does look cool.
That's an AI jobby, surely, man.
Yeah. That's it though.
Oh, that's all right.
Nice.
There's a guy called Sabbatical, a vlogger. He's got a good video where he went to the border and he had a look at it. Yeah, man. So it's just kind of like their holy. It's like their Mecca.
Yeah, I was gonna say like an oasis.
Because he was born on it. But yeah,
mate,
man,
that's incredible.
Fuck that place.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many like different parts. Oh, well, another thing. Sorry, I'm just gonna hammer you with other questions here.
Please do.
Is when you went to the beer factory.
Yes.
There's one question that you ask and you get a very weird response.
Yeah.
It's about where the workers are. So you say like where, because it was a Thursday, but the guy thinks it's a Saturday.
Yeah. So that happened twice. The first one was the water factory where I go, where are all the workers?
Yeah.
And he goes, it's Saturday. And he goes, what day is it today? And he goes, Saturday. And I go, Thursday. And he goes, oh. And that was it.
Yeah.
Right? That was just like the end of the thing. And again, a few days. So I was like, okay, cool. And a few days later, we're in the beer factory, and he's showing me this really well-equipped, beautiful
mate, it looks
brewery.
like premium.
It's premium, mate. So, and the beer was fucking banging as well. Really good shit. And I just said to him again, I go, where are the workers, dude? And I go, day off today? And he goes, yeah. And that was it. Like he wasn't entertaining the thing at all. And people say to me, people comment, they go, this, it's like fucking Truman Show and everything was staged. I think it's a bit of both. I think that this brewery, it did exist at some point, or was fully functional at some point, and now while it's not functioning, they use it for tours and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but they definitely it's not like one big made up set like where they just at the end of the day.
It's not like right. Your turn to walk across now. It's not like that.
No, because at the end of the day, as I said to you before, it's the first 8 nerds that wanted to go to North. We're not that important. We're just not that important. Yeah. Like they're not going to put all of this effort and all of this money and all of this whatever. They've got bigger fish to fry, dude. They're going to control the tour to an extent, and they're going to say you can see this and you can see this and you can't see this, but they're not going to pre-plan all of this fake bullshit. Do you know what I mean?
What was the most shocking thing that you saw? What made you go, wow?
To be honest, dude, it's a difficult question to answer. I don't think there was kind of anything that I saw that I particularly find shocking. It was just...
Which is probably on purpose for that reason. Like they would never have shown you something where you go, oh my God, I can't believe this exists.
Yeah.
But I could even imagine that maybe the entire experience itself is just like this really weird feeling.
It was the experience as a whole was just strange, dude. And but 99% of it comes down to our preconceptions of it. We know what kind of place it is. We've been taught this from our own media, from our own propaganda. This place is fucked up. This place is evil. This place is bad. So the whole thing was shocking in that sense. There was nothing in particular that I would say, other than those experiences we've talked about. There was one point where, which I really wish I filmed it, driving down the bus, and there's a kid with a toy AK-47 gun, and as we drove past, he aims out of the bus.
Whoa!
And it was so funny, dude. And I really wish I filmed it because that would have just been absolute gold.
Mate, so I guess they got toy guns there.
They got toy guns. Yeah, they got toy guns that look like they don't put like the bright yellow thing on the end to show you that it's not that it's not real. They got toy guns. They've got all sorts, man. All sorts.
Yeah. I mean,
probably the fucking the missiles with the kids dancing.
I was about
that was crazy.
That was crazy.
Thanks. Yeah. So it was the kids dancing with the missiles. I always forget about that. That was disturbing, dude. We're hanging out. We go to see these kids, and everything's perfect. And everything's just a great day, and then it ends literally with kids dancing and missiles.
Is it somewhere around here, right?
Yeah, so there'll be the next one of these.
That's just crazy, isn't it?
Keep going.
All these kids just ripping these tunes, and they're just dropping fucking Predator missiles on
them.
Yeah, it's...
And then
that is insane.
It looks like an edit.
Yeah.
Doesn't it looks like something that you would take and a bunch of meme pages on Twitter would edit this type of thing. It's like out of that movie. What's the movie where they do about North Korea?
Interview.
Yeah, Interview. It's something out of that, but it genuinely is.
Yeah, and then my fucking dumbass, the next day after seeing that, talks about peace in the book, and it's like they're obviously not concerned about peace, dude.
Yeah,
they're not. They're concerned about blowing everyone else out the water, literally.
One of the things that I could never do, but having lived in Vietnam as well, they also had that rattlesnake liquor. That's a thing in Vietnam too.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I'd seen that. And then when you were there, like, oh, where is it? Like, I want to find it. I was like, okay, this guy's fucking tapped. First of all, I don't know why you need to try this. Dude, I would at least when I lived in Vietnam, these snake liquors were always at airports.
Yeah,
you could buy them all the time.
Yeah.
You went and you had to people that don't know what it is, it's alcohol with a dead snake put in it, fermenting, it's marinating
60% brandy. That's what it is. 60% brandy with a dead snake.
Bottled
up in it, and I'm 99% sure it's not meant to be drank, dude. I did drink, so I bought 3 bottles of it. One of them I drank for the video while I was in the hotel room on the last night. And you look at the bottle and it's got grey cloudy, it's got scales are floating around.
Mate, it's fucked.
It was disgusting, dude.
How did it taste?
It was just grim, dude. It was just 60%. It tasted like 60% brandy with a snake.
Mate, there's something dead rotting in there.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's like a dead rotting animal,
it's a dead
isn't it?
Rotting
what
animal,
are we doing?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean,
you wanted to try that?
For me, I love that shit. I think it's so cool. I like going to places with just shit that's so you'd never in a million years.
Tiger Bones thing.
The Tiger Bones whiskey. Mate, it's so fucked, dude.
Is it legit?
Can you explain the Tiger Bones?
So yeah, it's a drink. I've seen it one time when I went to this Chinese gangster town in Laos. It's the only time I've seen it. It's a bottle of it's like a medicine, and it's made with the bones of endangered tigers. So it gives you like they believe it gives you some kind of like fucking whatever. Health benefits, and it could be a very easy thing to just falsify. They could just why go out and kill a tiger when we could just write it on the bottle. Could be fake, don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where I draw the line in terms of things that I would drink on camera, at least. Anyway,
I gotta ask this question, bro. Did you have a wank in North Korea?
Did I have a wank?
No, and be like straight up. No, because I was thinking of. I was
not expecting that.
No, but let's be honest though. Let's be honest though. If you're in North Korea, like that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
That's a danger wank.
That is the craziest danger wank of all time.
You know what? Yeah.
You did.
I did.
You had to. You have to, bro.
You've got to have a wank in North Korea.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you can't.
I'm a little bit gutted you didn't vlog that though.
I know. Well, that went on the OnlyFans.
Oh right.
That's coming out next.
Were you not worried that they might have had CCTV in the rooms? Because if there's one place that's going to just do that,
I wasn't too worried about the cameras.
Really?
You're isolated. You're like 5 days. You're just out in the middle of fucking nowhere 5 days, and also
you're a high testosterone guy.
Korean, like I'm not like some kind of like sex tourist. I'm not about that at all. I promise. But the North Korean girls can be really beautiful, man. So you're like, oh, these girls are cute, and then you know.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I was wanking over North Korean chicks. I was not at all. But
because I was just saying like that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity. I just feel like you can't.
Most gentlemen would take
as long as your man wasn't on the wall.
Yeah.
That would be disrespectful.
Yeah,
obviously you don't want to be.
Exactly.
You don't want to be looking at his eyes.
You don't want. Yeah, even if he was looking down on you.
Yeah, that would be fucking.
When I first kind of got a bit big, I would go on Reddit. You ever Reddit yourself for fun? I guess you guys are probably a bit too big now, but I started Redditing myself because it's like, oh, cool, people are talking about me. And the first one that was ever, was like people debating on whether or not I was a pervert, basically, because it was like, oh, Bolden Bankrupt apparently he's a pervert, so he must be a pervert as well. And I was like, what? How is the logic there, dude?
Yeah.
No, it's I get that kind of whole thing, especially with you get people like Kurt Kaz that do the whole like, in the thumbnail it's a girl, a Latina girl with a big ass and a big
proper plays on it, didn't he?
Yeah, I do try to, especially content wise, I try to stay clear of like, talking about girls too much. I'm going to like third world countries, man, and then for me it's not respectful to like talk about or like
they got bigger issues at hand.
They got bigger issues at hand. I'm not going to go there and try and chat them up and shit. It's just not my beat.
That's fair enough. I respect that.
Chip touched on it really quickly.
Yeah.
But it was about the idea of your room essentially being bugged.
Oh yeah.
And it's like really common practice in, embassies, all these type of things. Like, for example, like the Russian embassy in the UK, the UK will bug the shit out of their embassy. Like, I would very much imagine that they absolutely do that.
Yeah.
In the hotel rooms that you guys are staying at. But you also said that you don't think you're necessarily important enough to that point.
Yeah. Do
you think that your room, or at least when you were there, were you acting as if it could potentially be bugged? Because I see you doing a lot of like the morning vlog to camera. Yeah. Were you a little bit conscious of?
To be fair,
any of that?
I was, but in my head I was like, I'm just not going to say anything too. Sorry, I'm not going to say anything. Like that's the reason I did the voiceovers.
Yeah.
So I could put.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
In the in the room, I didn't feel like that. A friend of mine that's been many times told me a story about this before I went. I go, do you think my room's going to be bugged? And he went there. He's been there loads of times before COVID. And he was in a room with a guy, and the guy was stressing out, and he was going, oh, what if the room's bugged, this, that, and the other? And the guy goes, trust me, the room's not bugged. And he goes, how do you know? And he goes, watch this. And he goes, Kim Jong-un's a bitch, like inside the room.
Nah,
right?
Fuck that,
Swear
man.
down. He goes, Kim Jong-un's a bitch in the thing, dude. And the guy that he's with is like, freaking out. He's going, no, you're gonna get us killed.
That's good. That'd be me.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said to you before, at the end of the day, we're not that important.
Yeah.
Like what are they gonna? Do you know what I mean? They're gonna listen to what, me having a wank?
No, but it's more so the point that I mentioned about the auto situation, where it's like, are they just waiting for a slip up to then use you as a pawn? Or do you know what I mean? Like that would be my fear there.
For sure, I get it. And I think at the end of the day as well, with the Otto Warmbier thing, like, the last thing the North Koreans want right now, after 5 years of absolutely zero tourism, the very last thing that they want right now is another Otto Warmbier or any problems, dude. They don't want any. They've just had Americans can't come. You know, the Brits probably might happen at some point, but they've just opened up after 5 years. They want a super smooth, you know, everything going according to plan experience. Yeah. So I don't think they're looking for like these pawns. If they get one, you know, and someone really fucks up and they've got it, then yeah, they were never going to put Otto Warmbier away for 15 years ever. It was going to be a trade at some point. Anyway, I think in my head it was like, look, they just want this to go as smooth as possible. They don't want any fuck ups because they want tourism. They want tourists to come, and if they lock up everything, they lock up.
So do you genuinely believe that they want people there? Like they want tourists, but just in a very controlled environment. Like just from a business perspective, that's hard to scale.
Yeah, what do they? You know, what are the benefits for them if you've got a group of 8 people coming over, not spending much money because it doesn't cost a lot?
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, I don't think that it's that that tourism is going to have like a huge benefit to their economy. But you know, if they've opened up to tourists, then surely they must.
There's got to be a business plan here somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And also, it kind of just looks good for them, I guess. Like it was all over the media as soon as I got out. This whole trip was all over BBC and CNN and all this shit. So that kind of gets people talking about the country. And then I don't know. I think at the end of the day, like for me personally, I think tourism in North Korea is a good thing. It's like if the more people they let in, the more people interact with North Koreans, and the more they humanize the country. I'm not saying that's what I want, but I think it's good probably for peace.
Them,
the peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like what you wrote in the book.
Be friends.
Yeah.
I wish nothing but peace to the world.
Would you go back? Would you be? Or do you think?
What do you think? Do you think I can go back?
I think your videos had more of a positive look than a negative one.
I
would agree.
Like the ending as well.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You said your thoughts, but you said overall it was quite a positive outlook.
The only thing I'd say about going back is what really is there to gain from going back?
Exactly.
You've got the vibe, you've got the experience, particularly in such a close, like short amount of time. It may be in 10, 15, 20 years if you were to do it. I think there's like an intrigue and curiosity that exists. But in the meantime, like, really, what are you gaining? I
think you're right. I think, other than, another couple viral videos possibly, but as an individual, I haven't got any burning desire to go back anytime soon. Couple years maybe.
And I also feel like just naturally, as a content creator does, you will go back and you will want to push the envelope a little bit more, even though you might tell yourself, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Naturally, you want a better video than the first one. You want something that maybe piques a bit more interest, whatever.
Exactly.
So you will subconsciously just push the envelope, and you never know with these guys.
For sure.
Could be the last straw.
At the end of the day, it's like I was the first British tourist to enter the country after 5 years. I was the first notable person to get a video out. Yeah. So from a content creator's perspective, you're totally right, man. I think I can probably draw a line under it for a while.
What do you think the difference between visiting Pyongyang versus Razon would be like?
I think it'd be a big difference. That apparently in the past 5 years, they've done a lot of work on Pyongyang. They've built like however many new skyscrapers. Apparently the skyline is totally.
So you never went. You never
didn't go down to Pyongyang.
And did they ever tell you like why? Because to me that would be like, I want to go see the capital.
Exactly. They didn't. They just, that was the only reason. That was the only region that was open. Right. And I think it's probably because there's already a little bit of foreign trade in the area anyway, so they were probably a little bit more ready for tourists. However, the Pyongyang Marathon is, when is it, Proddy? The Pyongyang Marathon?
I think it's the 6th of. Oh, it was yesterday.
Good friend of mine, Harry Jaggard, have you guys ever heard of Harry Jaggard?
No.
Vlogger. He's out there as we speak. So
oh wow,
he'll be making.
So what, have they let quite a few more people in to go and do this marathon?
So,
or like what's the situation with the marathon? I think
they let a few people in, but it's still quite controlled. I don't think there's any tours going on. It's like you can come and run the marathon, and then you can bounce.
Yeah, I mean,
but you're not allowed to film it.
Oh, you're not allowed to film. There's no. I'm pretty sure they've said no influencers. Yeah. So they're doing another North Korea tour has just been announced for the summer. if it opens again. And they said, and I said to the guy, I said, would it be a really bad idea for me to come back to North Korea? And he said, you can come as a person, but they said no influencers, no content creators.
So do you reckon that has stemmed from your video then?
Possibly, because it was the biggest one, but possibly. I think that they kind of weren't ready. For the past 5 years, dude, the world's changed so much in terms of content. It's grown since COVID, like massively. And they aren't aware of that. They don't know how big it's got. They don't know how big YouTube is. They don't know how big this this thing has got. So I think they probably weren't ready for like the exposure they were going to get from this thing.
I mean, they do have that marathon in Pyongyang, to be fair. And I wonder if any of them are going to be using the Runna app. Like, let's be honest. Look, everybody in London uses it. I hope that if you're running the Pyongyang marathon, use the Runna app, because the last thing you want to do is fail a marathon in North Korea. Lord knows what happens if that's the case. And of course, our sponsor for today's episode is Runna. If you don't know what Runna is, it is a training app. And it's one that you can use whether you're, going to go run a marathon in North Korea, or you just want to do your first ever 5K. There's loads of different options that you could choose, and it's all customized to your own ability. So if you guys do want to join up, then make sure you check out our link. You're going to get 2 weeks free by using our link. Not only that, but you'll be added into our Jogfathers community. And if you already have a Runna account and you're already using it, then amazing. But you still want to be part of the community, we'll leave a link and instructions on how you can get involved with the Jogfathers in the description. Do you, in terms of pop culture, did you ever ask them any like questions about like, oh, do you know fucking Drake, or do you know like any like pop culture wise?
I think people. I didn't specifically. I remember people on the tour on the tour asking them like, have you heard of like Michael Jackson and shit?
Yeah.
And I think they've heard of like the oldies, like the big ones back in the day. They might have heard of them.
Slipped through the cracks over the years.
Slipped through the cracks, exactly. But absolutely nothing modern. They're
not on that little peep, little Tekka vibe. No,
it just
they ain't got the remixes.
So mental to just kind of take a North Korean person and just be like, yo, this is everything that's out there. Just see what they'd be like.
Yeah, man. Well, it happens, dude.
Yeah, well, the people escape.
It would blow the fucking mind.
It happens, man. But people escape, right? They go down to South Korea, and then it's too much for them. So they'll escape North Korea, and they get, put in a they get given a house by the government, whatever. And it's too much for them. Like, it's too crazy. Everything's just too over. They'd never seen the internet before. Everything's overstimulated,
like
exactly.
Massive.
And they turn around and they go back, dude.
Have you guys listened to the Yeonmi Park Joe Rogan episode?
Yes, mate. She actually messaged me. She messaged me when the videos went out. And on Instagram, she was like, "Hey, I think you did a really good job with the North Korea stuff."
Oh, nice.
Wicked.
That's impressive because there is actually a lot of people that don't believe her story.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes. So she went on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of people that said like her story doesn't add up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bits, but it certainly adds credibility when she's going out of her way to privately DM you to say, you showed it well.
For sure. And I spoke to a friend of mine about her as well. She's, from a business standpoint, she's capitalized massively.
Yeah.
So she's escaped the country, however she is. I think she was like the daughter of quite a kind of wealthy-ish North Korean. And she got out of the country. I can't remember with her family or not, but she capitalized the fuck out of it, and she wrote the book, and she went on she was also quite a good looking girl. Okay, so there's kind of this thing in your head that's like, right, so she can get on Theo Von and she can get on Joe Rogan and she can write the book. And she's now, I don't know how many fucking millions she's got now, but she's now super, super rich from it. So, and in order to capitalize from it, you do have to kind of sensationalize your experience.
Yeah.
She might have just had a pretty normal life and then been like kind of pushed out by some smugglers or whatever. But the more you sensationalize your experience, especially if you're a defector, the more interest it's going to get and the more money you're going to get from. I'm not saying she's a liar at all.
No. Yeah. But, no, it's true. It's true. But it's interesting to hear that.
One thing
I'm going to quickly nip to Lou. You guys can keep going.
One thing that always confuses me, is North Korea, the border is so massive.
Yeah.
How on earth do they police
how do you monitor that? How... Yeah, it's not like the Mexican-American border, is it, where they've tried to build a wall?
No.
Or have they?
So this is a river. So there's one called I think it's called the Two Men River. the China side, and when that freezes in the winter, which it does, it's quite an easy like escape. You can get over it pretty easily.
Okay.
But we came over that river. But
so that's on the northern bit.
So people will either go over the river, which is that northern border there, or they'll go over the DMZ, which is the like 1 kilometer gap between North Korea and South Korea. So that's no man's land.
Is that one quite difficult to cross?
Yeah, there's a video probably of a guy. I don't know if you better find it right now, but there's a video of a guy in a car making his way to the DMZ, and then gets out the car and then runs across, and he gets shot. He survived, but he gets shot. DMZ
man escaping. Yeah,
North Korea.
Wow. And how is it quite often that people are defecting from North Korea?
I've seen this.
Yeah, it's mad.
I haven't seen this before.
So he's slammed his car into the thing there, and that's people shooting at him, but they're not allowed to
cross over themselves. So they've got to just.
So he runs over, and then
does he make it?
Yeah, he gets shot, and then he gets picked up by the South Koreans.
Of course, yeah, because they can't cross, so they can't finish him off.
Yeah, exactly. They're not allowed to cross at all. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So what? He literally just drove through it.
He just drove through, got out of the car, and then just ran across the thing. He probably scaled a barbed wire fence or whatever.
But that's crazy. Out of all of the places to cross, it feels like the last thing you'd pick is the demilitarized zone, which has the most guards on it.
Yeah, but then again, you say, I don't know. I mean, it's that or the river. There's only two ways to go.
Yeah, but look how big that is. That's what I'm saying. That is massive.
Oh, well, yes, yeah.
I don't see how that can be policed.
But then you get into China. I think China and North Korea are quite.
They're besties.
Whereas
they're
if
like
you get into South Korea,
you go to South Korea,
they'll be more understanding. They'll be like,
"Oh, we
understand what you can be."
Yeah.
Do
Exactly.
people ever try and swim?
People try and people get.
They do. They try and go out and around.
Yeah, they get. There'll be smugglers. I think it's actually a business, man. There are Chinese smugglers that will come in and get you out of there.
So interesting.
Guess what?
So you've been to like a. Obviously the North Korea stuff's probably like the latest adventure that you've been on, but just in general, like you mentioned that you went to Baghdad as well. Yeah. Like what have your other travels been like? Has there been a place that you think kind of maybe the story hasn't been told exactly in the way that you would have done it? Or like a place that you've been to and you've been there like, oh wow, there is a lot going on here and maybe the world doesn't necessarily know about it?
Iraq was pretty eye-opening. My dad served there 20 years ago, so I had this idea to do I go back 20 years later and just see what's happening with the country. That was somewhere that surprised me. I felt so safe there, dude. So safe. Really? I was hitchhiking around the country. I was just hanging out with Iraqis all the time, and I just felt super safe, man. And it's also the most interesting place. I didn't used to be a history buff, but since I started doing this job, like I have to research places before I go there, and I've found myself getting so interested in the history. Iraq's got like an insane history, going back thousands and thousands of years. So everywhere you go, there's something cool to learn about. The people are fucking awesome. The food's banging. So yeah, that was one place that really stuck out for me recently.
What sort of food is it there?
So I guess it's like a lot of like hummus, falafel. Yeah. I was living off falafels, kebabs, just all the best shit, man. All the best shit. Yeah. So yeah, Iraq, absolutely loved. Obviously China. I'd like to go. I'm actually going to be going back to China in a couple of months.
Have you seen Speed in China and live streaming that?
Yeah, he's doing this whole. It's weird because a year ago China wasn't like. It's kind of like become like trending almost. China. Yeah. Everyone's trying to go there now.
Well, I really want to go.
Yeah, but you should.
It's truffle pig trying to hit that spot.
Chongqing looks insane.
Chongqing looks insane. Yeah. I think that's kind of, in terms of a content perspective, that's kind of been overdone because it's this whole like it's the biggest place in the world that you've never heard of, or the biggest
and it's like
city in the world.
You go down like 10 levels and you're still on the skyscraper.
Yeah. They've all done the same thing. But yeah, I would highly recommend China. I can give you boys the route for the where I slept on the Great Wall of China overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there's a part. So that when you go to the Great Wall, there's like the big touristy spot, right, where you've got thousands of fucking tourists and everything's pristine. If you go about 3 hours north of Beijing, there's a part of the wall that's completely unrestored, right? And it's just been withered away over however many thousands of years. And I've walked like, 2-3 hours up this mountain through through this forest, and I've climbed onto the Great Wall, and there's not a single person in sight. It's completely dead silent. I've got this felt like the entire Great Wall of China to myself. And I set up camp in one of the watchtowers overnight, and slept there, and then had the most beautiful fucking view in the morning.
Unreal.
That's a bit
insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. You go on, man.
I was going to say, it's quite safe in China then, just
super safe. It's genuine. I know I said the same thing about Iraq, but it's one of the safest places I've ever felt traveling.
Yeah.
Number one, you've got this kind of when you're a foreigner there, you kind of have got this advantage because people are kind of keeping an eye on you to an extent, or you've got to register. You got to register in a lot of places, so people know where you are. So if something happens to you, you'll be fine. They'll come and find you.
What do you mean by register in places?
Okay, so you have to go, if you're staying at a hotel, you need to register with they have to take down your passport details, and then they send them to the local police station or whatever. Which is actually what I didn't do a lot of the time. I was camping outside gas stations and shit. I slept in a truck driver's car in a truck driver's truck with him at one point. So
Jesus.
it was nuts, man, absolutely nuts. So I actually wasn't registered a lot of the time, but you're supposed to. Right. You're supposed to do these things, but never felt unsafe. I think there's something to be said about a country with so much surveillance. From a safety perspective, it's great. If you're not going to break the rules, you're not going to do anything wrong, then you should have nothing to worry about, right? But yeah, felt super safe.
So you didn't find yourself in any sketchy situations when you were out there? It sounds like you're more than happy to put yourself in them. Sleeping exactly. in a truck.
Honestly, dude, even that, I could trust people. When you're talking to people that don't speak the same language as you, and I'm literally conversing with everyone with my phone. I'm doing Google Translate or whatever the fuck. And I just trusted people, man. So I was with this truck driver, and he didn't have space in his truck, so I had a tent with me. So he goes, just set up your tent over here. They bought me some, food or whatever. Because I literally was shit poor at the time, dirt poor. So I'm sleeping in a tent outside of a gas station, not out of choice, but because I didn't have any money. And so they're like, oh yeah, we bought you some food, we bought you this, we bought you that. And when you have that kind of hospitality, when you have that, these welcoming people, it makes you feel safe and it makes you feel comfortable. And I felt like that a lot.
Where's the best place that you went to in China then? If you would recommend somebody to go, obviously you did the Great Wall. That's great.
It depends what you're into, man. If you if you're into nature, there's a place called. I did one where I traveled up the Duku Highway. So there's a range of mountains called the Tian Shan Mountains in Xinjiang. And it's just stunning. It's beautiful, and you've got
Can you get some pictures up of that, Prod?
Yeah, how am I spelling it?
Duku Highway, Duku Highway, cool. Xinjiang.
Because there's some images that I've seen of and I don't know what the name of the place is, but it's it's massive.
Avatar thing, Avatar shit. Yeah,
like that. And I had a mate that went and traveled and went to see that, and it looks unreal.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. I've not been there. This was really cool because you've got basically Western China is full of all different ethnic groups. So you've got Kazakh nomads. You'll be traveling, through the highway, and you'll just see these nomadic, these tents, these nomadic yurts that they have, these big white tents. Mm-hmm. And you can go and hang out with these nomads. Yeah, it's absolutely
looks like a
stunning.
Scalextrics track.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's wicked. So that's going up the mountain there. So in terms of somewhere that people probably have never heard of before, I would say go and check this out. All of Xinjiang I thought was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. I definitely want to go to China. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've got it, man.
How different is the food out there?
Different in terms of what
we would used to in Western world as Chinese food.
Yeah, in China. Yeah, it's super different. Yeah. But the Chinese that we get out here is it's not really. It's a cat.
Yeah.
It's bollocks.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, and we have a lot of our listeners and viewers are sort of between the ages of sort of 18 and 25, and a lot will be looking to do some of the travel stuff that kind of what you've spoken about there. And you mentioned you obviously did the classic Thailand. Now Philippines is becoming really popular.
Yeah.
If there were 3 places that you would definitely recommend people to do in some sort of travel, whether that be Southeast Asia or whether it be anywhere in the world, where are you?
if you're young and you're kind of looking to travel for the first time, let's say 18, 19, 20, whatever, you can't go wrong with Southeast Asia. Vietnam personally is one of my favorite countries in the entire world. Incredibly easy to travel. You can still go off the beaten track a little bit if you want to. The people are just lovely. It's cheap. The food's incredible. You can rent a motorbike and travel the country if you want.
You've done that Haijiang Loop.
Done the Haijiang Loop three or four times.
I always see those TikToks popping up.
What is that?
It's a motorbike loop on the close to the border of China actually. Takes about 5 days to do. What I would say is everyone's doing it these days with tour guides. Everyone's doing it with tour guides. You can still, don't let them scare you into booking a tour. You can go up and rent a scooter or a semi-automatic bike, and you can do it yourself. Don't let them scare you into being you need to do the tour. I would say go and do it yourself. You'll have with a mate. You'll have a wicked time.
I can see the mosquito bites already.
It is. You go in the wrong time of year. It's gorgeous.
Mate, I'm always seeing TikToks being there I'm off to go do it, a before and after of the Haijiang Loop. And they just say it's one of the best experiences.
You'll be knackered afterwards. Totally fucked after. I just did it in January with my mate Joe.
Wow, sick.
Yeah, it was wicked.
And so how long are you mopeding for a day?
Maybe 5-6 hours a day.
Heavy.
So your ass is.
You just stay in.
You just rock up to each place, and there'll be guest houses and shit all over the place.
Sick.
Yeah, it's wicked. You always check it out. 100%.
Yeah, amazing.
Very cool.
So you'd say Vietnam is one of the places?
Vietnam's one of them. Thailand. There's enough on Thailand at the moment. But I would say I went to Hong Kong recently. That was wicked. Very cool place. Surprised me a lot. Again, it's a bit expensive though. And probably Philippines, dude. Philippines, you can't go wrong with the Philippines.
So many people are talking about the Philippines now.
Gorgeous, dude.
Is there a place that you'd recommend in the Philippines?
I've only been there once. Actually, when I went with that Dutch bird that I told you.
Of course.
That was saying for everything for me.
Sugar mama.
I only went with her and El Nido. There's a beach called El Nido. It's just stunning. There's an island called Siquijor, which the locals believe is haunted, but so it's kind of pretty empty.
Cool.
Very cool place.
Truffle Pig was telling me about a place. It's in the Philippines. It's called the Sardine Run.
The Sardine Run. What is that?
Type in Sardine Run Philippines. Here we go. So look.
Whoa. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a particular area where millions of sardines just migrate.
It's in Cebu. Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, it's really weird.
What?
Just swimming through a.
I would want to do this. Mate, this would be sick.
Yeah. I've been there.
Too much water going on for me there.
A lot of space.
You're not a water baby, Chip.
Not a sea. Don't like
not
the sea.
Not a sea guy.
Nah.
Yeah.
Just looking inside deep ocean, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The beach here.
Yeah, you
that's
could do
all right.
that. Yeah,
That.
Yeah.
That? No.
Yeah. So this Sardine Run looked pretty sick. Those are 3 places. And then in terms of 3 places you would say people do not need to go and check out. Where should people avoid?
Stoke.
Yeah, that's got to be up there.
Stoke.
Sorry, Tom.
To be honest, dude, I would say, depending on. It depends on what you're looking for, man. It's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one.
Have you been to a place and you've gone I need to get out of here ASAP? I know you mentioned that North Korea,
bro.
Yeah,
it was North Korea. I think North Korea was the only country that I
really wanted out.
I like places, man. I rarely go to a place that I walk out and think this place is a shithole. Where have I not liked that I've been to?
I swear Simon Wilson had a really sketchy experience in Afghanistan.
Yeah, he wouldn't talk about it actually.
Yeah.
He didn't want to talk about it.
No, he said he wasn't allowed to talk about it at the time.
There was something.
I need to message him and I need to get that story off of him.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether he just didn't want to speak about it or he couldn't speak about it.
Yeah. See,
have you been to Afghan?
I haven't been to Afghan. No, I think I've had. Oh no, dude, I've got one, man. This is where you 100% do not want to go. There is a Chinese enclave. It's a place in Laos that's run by Chinese gangsters. Okay, it's on the border of Myanmar and Thailand. And the reason why it's situated where it is because you can smuggle heroin through this place. It's outside the laws of Laos, right? So the Lao police aren't going to come and get you. The Chinese police aren't going to come and get you. It's run by Chinese gangsters, dude. And I spent a night. I wanted to go there and check it out. I've gone through security, and once you're in, you're in. Like, it's all of the security are owned by these Chinese gangsters. The whole place is built on money laundering and human trafficking and drug trafficking. So it's a city that's literally developed and built on crime. And I've gone in there wearing a bright pink and green shirt with flamingos and palm trees.
Screaming, look at me, I'm a big fucking tourist.
Look at me. And in my head, I was like, this will be funny. This will be a good bit. I'll walk straight in. I'm the only foreigner in this entire town, right? Again, you're outside of the law, man. If something happens to you, no one is coming for you, man. And there's a hotel right in the middle called the King Romans Casino. And it's the casino that launders all the drug money, right? And all the human trafficking money and shit. And I've booked a hotel room on the top floor of this hotel. And I've gone in and I'm like, fucking, hey, my name's Mike. And I've got a camera in my fucking hand, like just looking like a knobhead. And I get there, dude, and they go, I pay by card, it was 60 quid for the room. Pay by card, please. And they go, we only take cash, right? Obviously, they only take cash. Fucking money laundering. Why am I trying to pay with my Monzo? You know what I mean? Do you take Monzo? Do you take Monzo in this money laundering casino? And he's gone, I'll take you to the bank. So the concierge has driven me to the ATM. I've got 60 quid out. Little did I know, I'd left my one and only bank card. I'd left it in the ATM. And I wouldn't realize until 4 hours later. Okay, so I've gone back to the hotel. I've paid my 60 quid. I'm like, cool, check into the room, walk outside, and I'm walking down the street, and there's these 4 Pakistani guys coming out of a car. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this would be good content. I'll speak to what these guys are up to. Sure. And I go, hey, what are you boys up to? And I shake their hand, and I go, are you tourists or do you work here? And he goes, we're scammers. Right, so just straight up, I swear to God, honesty. I swear to God, he goes, we're scammers, right? And in my head, I'm like, oh God, this was like, I've just uncovered something within the first 5 minutes of me being here, right? He goes, we're scammers. And then he clocks the camera and he goes, are you recording this? And I go, yeah. And he goes, can you turn that off, please? So I turn the camera off and I'm like, can you tell me a bit more about what you're doing here? Basically, these guys were told that they were getting a job in China. They were then brought to this place. It's called the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone. They were brought here.
Special Economic Zone.
Yeah. They were brought here. Their passports were taken away, and they are now forced to work for like online dating scams, where they pose as women on like dating websites in like America or whatever, and then they pose as women, and then they just fucking take shit loads of money from these guys over a period of however long. And they were being held there against their own will.
What?
So I've just done this, right? I've just done this publicly. I've then walked away and he's gone, can you delete the initial video of you had saying that they were scammers? And I was like, yeah. And I fucking really wish I'd somehow managed to get it back, because it was gold piece of footage. And I've walked away and I've just gone from like Billy Big Bollocks with the fucking, Hawaiian shirt, like walking around thinking this is going to be great, to now like, oh shit. I've just realized where I am. Yeah. I'm in a place that is literally built on human trafficking and drug smuggling. And I've just spoken to a guy in the middle of the street who's told me he was a scammer. And, everyone knows I'm here because I'm the only white dude in fucking however many miles. So I would absolutely not recommend anyone to go there.
I assume you lost that bank card?
No, okay. So then I get back to the hotel, and I realized later that I've lost my bank card, and that was it. I considered leaving because I was like, if anyone's seen me speak to these guys and they've seen me with a camera, I could be fucked here. But I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I left my bank card in the thing, so I couldn't leave because I wanted to get my bank card back. Gone to the hotel and I've said, look, I've left my bank card in the thing, and they said we can't do anything till tomorrow because the bank's closed. I had about 100 quid left on me. So I've gone down to the casino and gambled and lost the whole 100 quid. So now I'm the stupidest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
That is the most stupid.
I swear to God, in my head, I was like, right, what I'll do is I'll gamble the 100 quid, win like 200 quid, and then if the ATM card is gone, then I've got 200 quid. Yeah. That's how it worked in my head.
Yeah, no.
You know what? I kind of get why you were broke.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's adding up.
Bro, I don't make the best meme.
That's it. It's the diamond meme. I don't make the best decisions. So I went to bed just thinking, I'm paranoid because I'm the only actual fucking person in this hotel. There was no one in the hotel. It was empty.
Yeah.
I'm now paranoid that I,
And so did you just leave the next day then?
So I woke up the next morning and went down to the concierge, great dude, and he took me to the bank. gone inside the bank. I've asked them to open up the ATM, and I got my ATM card out.
Oh, so you did get it off. Thank God for that.
Got the card out, and then I literally fucked off as fast as I could out of there, man. It was a sketchy place. It's a good video. If you it's called that. It's called "Holidaying in China's Lawless Criminal Empire."
What's this?
Mate, some great titles, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you.
Gotta give you credit, and I actually really like your thumbnails.
You're just coming up with these on your own, yeah.
Yeah, it's all me, man. It's a one-man team. It's weird with travel stuff. I try not to do like the. I listened to a podcast with you actually, Cal, when you were talking. You were on the Creator Support podcast, and you were talking about authenticity.
Yeah.
And you said about we're living in a world where people are moving towards authenticity in content.
Yeah.
And it's the way you guys are trying to put your content to kind of not Mr. Beastify the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think when there's something as like authentic and as raw as traveling, then the thumbnail needs to match it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's what appeals to it. That's why people want to click on it, is because when I look at your thumbnails, I go, this is a one-man job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy hasn't spent like what we spend £1,000 a video on just thumbnails.
On a thumbnail editor, yeah.
Yeah, and where they're like you can tell that, like you can see that. Whereas with yours, lovely, nice, clean bit of text, and a screen grab from the thing.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
really nice.
I think with travel stuff, it kind of needs to match it. But again, man,
and you edit all your own stuff.
Edit all my own stuff, yeah.
I mean, I have to admit, in that fucking North Korea video, there was a really good part, and there's a current meme going around of like subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah,
and you edited that.
Taekwondo.
It was the Taekwondo thing. Yeah, I started doing that actually. There's one.
It's a really
the
good
side of China the media don't show you. There's a bit where I'm about to get picked up. I'm hitchhiking, and this couple goes, where do you want us to drop you off? And I said, I'm trying to stay somewhere in a scenic area, and then it foreshadows me sitting in a fucking like a garage, like car, with like rubbish trash all around me, and I've tried to just keep that theme of the subtle foreshadowing.
Mate, I really
whenever
like
it works. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think you also did it. I think with the rattlesnake drink.
The rattlesnake as well. Yeah, I did that in a. I think I did it on a. It was on a reel.
Yeah. Do you edit most of your... What program do you edit on?
I'm using Premiere Pro.
Pro. Okay, yeah. Because there's a lot of editors now using CapCut on their desktop.
Really?
Because you can use it on your mobile and you can use it like... In terms of an editing program on your phone, it's by far the best.
Yeah.
And on desktop, it's definitely more limited than Premiere. But if it's relatively basic footage and you're just looking to cut it together, it's super simple.
Yeah.
I think it's free as well.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Yeah. So I learned Premiere Pro, so that's the only reason why I use that.
Yeah.
I've thought people keep telling me to get an editor because it's getting to the point now where my videos are taking me about 2 days to edit. 2 full days sat in a Starbucks somewhere editing. I don't know, what do you boys think? I don't know if I could. I have a vision in my head of when I'm filming something. And I'm like, right, I'm almost directing it in my head as I'm going, and I know what the edit's going to look like. How then do you give that to an editor and make them see your vision? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hard to do that.
Also as well, like if you've got the time to edit it and it's not, that time isn't compromising your quality, you might as well.
I might as well. So the plan is, what I generally try and do is go out for a month, make fucking 6-7 videos in a month, go and sit in Bali or Vietnam or wherever for the next month, and then just edit the shit out of them and then put those out.
It's a good little setup there. Actually.
It's a nice little setup, mate. It's a nice little setup. I'm still figuring it out. It's still very new to me, so I'm figuring it all out. But yeah, I think I'll be in Bali for most of this summer.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. Oh, God, what are you doing in Bali? Editing?
Mate, my goal was always, one day I'll be eating smoothie bowls, doing CrossFit, and banging Instagram models. That was my trifecta.
And now you can make a YouTube video.
And now I can actually do that. No, I'm joking. Yeah. I can add, that was always my digital nomad life.
That's sick. And for example, on that 11 million Chinese video, how much money would you make off that video?
So that one, there was one with 11 million views, and that one's got a really high RPM for me anyway. That was just under $10. So
wow,
that video
is good.
That video's just hit 100K. $100,000. Yeah, from one.
Mate, that's so good.
It's mental, considering going back to when I said to you about how I was fucking shit broke, man, when I made that video, totally broke, and I said to my mates, like, look, I can't keep doing this, man. I'm spending all my money on trips. I'm going away. I'm making content that I know is good. I know this is good content, but no one's watching it because it's not getting pushed out there. And yeah, man, that series alone has made enough money for me to not be able to work a job.
This is one thing that I've always thought, and I've seen it with a lot of other travel influencers as well, or creators, I should say, is the moment that obviously they start making some good money, you start noticing the travel content that blew them up. It changes now because instead of being forced to rough it out in somebody's truck, man, you've got a few grand in the bank account now. I'll get a decent hotel.
You're so right, man. And I'm going through this kind of ethical dilemma at the moment where like my content is almost built on being helped out by locals. It's hitchhiking, and it's, people inviting me into their homes to stay on their spare room, and it's people, buying me fucking, dinner and whatever. And now that I've got, more than enough money to stay in nice hotels, I'm like, well, does that make it then less authentic? If I'm now hitchhiking for the content and not because I need to, then that kind of loses the authenticity, right? So I am working on it. The only way I can think of, I think I can kind of still do it, is if I use some of it to give back to these people. So let's say I do an Iraq series. Throughout that series, then I'll try to set up some kind of not donation thing, because I want to supply, but if I say, look, 20% of all the revenue from this video is going to go into helping refugees out, whatever. That's the only way I can kind of do this and still make it the same way in terms of do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it is a really interesting sort of moral dilemma to come across, because like you said, if somebody's making you dinner, buying you dinner, then it's like, oh, well, might not be as well off as you are now. 100%. Exactly. And it's like, I shouldn't be taking free stuff from somebody that,
and at the end of the day, it's not I'm not just like taking free stuff off them, but I'm also profiting off of them, because I then make a video that does 2 million views and makes 15 grand. And I've just gone, cool, I've just left, a third world country or a country that's at war, whatever, and I can walk away with my 15 grand and they haven't, do you know what I mean?
I guess maybe if you left, and when you leave, you do leave them something that where they've come out of the situation better off.
Exactly. But again, I want to do it in a way that's like not just, hey, here's
Mr. Beastified.
Exactly, because that also is like, well, I'm just doing that for the content. So I'm doing a thing where it's actually from that video, I'm setting up like some money that I'm giving to people that have been affected by human trafficking. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to do it, man. That's what this month when I'm back in the UK is about, is just
figuring that side out. What if you, I'm sure you do, what is the dream video for you to go in? And then one of the notes that we have here is, would you attempt going to something like North Sentinel Island? Or like, is there and I feel like with creators, we always have this, is like, you've gone and made North Korea, which is very much like a pinnacle moment for a lot of travel creators.
Kind of like a rite of passage type thing.
What's next?
There was a guy, there was a Russian YouTuber recently that went to, or American YouTuber that went to North Sentinel very recently, like 2 days ago, and got arrested because he left a bottle of beer there or something. I personally don't think my rule has always been, man, would I still go there if I wasn't filming it? And if the answer is yes, then I would. So for me, actually, my dream would to be something like, okay, I've hitchhiked in China, I've hitchhiked in dangerous places like Iraq, whatever. I've been to these Chinese gangster enclaves. I would like to do something like hitchhike across the US. How dangerous is that? We're living in a world that tells us that fucking the Middle East is bad and China is bad and this is bad. When actually the hardest thing I think to do in terms of getting robbed and mugged and whatever would probably be hitchhiking across the US. Yeah. In terms of how far does this go? Fuck knows, dude. We're living in a world where like every travel vlogger is just trying to find the new thing and the new thing and the new thing. So yeah, for me, it would be, Russia would be a big one. Love to go to Russia. Yep. Again, it's difficult with the language. Russia would probably be up there. But again, it's just like, I'm going to die doing YouTube one day. I just shot a video that I'm putting out in a couple of weeks where I went to Northeast India to look for a missing World War II plane that's been sat in the jungle for the past 80 years. And it was the most fucking dangerous thing I've ever done in my entire life. Because, I was with me and my friend who's from there and a couple of guides that we just hired from the village. And we're deep in the jungle. Like if you get sick or you fall, you break your ankle, no one's coming for you. And we got hit by a thunderstorm at fucking 2 a.m. and it lasted about 10 hours.
Well, like a flash flood type
flash flood type thing. And where the plane was that I was looking for was on a river. So I'm now climbing, like I'm a 6'1", like, you know, dude that's not very agile. I'm like climbing down cliff faces and rocks. And I'm thinking like, I'm going to die doing YouTube one day because this is fucked. Yeah, it was super dangerous, man. Super dangerous.
Yeah, well, that sounds really exciting.
So yeah, super exciting. That'll hopefully be out. I don't know when this is coming out.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So
about a week from then.
Hopefully the Friday after this comes out. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but basically 2 years ago, I was camping in the jungle in Northeast India. This guy goes to me. He goes, "You're the first foreigner that's ever been to this part of Nagaland since a World War II plane that crashed here 80 years ago." And in my head, I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, yeah, we don't know if it's American, British or Japanese, but I said, "What do you mean you don't know?" He said, "Because it hasn't been like identified. It's just like truly discovered or like officially discovered." So anyway, I've been working on this for about a year to try to go and find this plane. Went down into the jungle looking for it. I've got, I've got pieces of the plane that I need to identify now that I'll be working on this week. And hopefully,
that's sick.
It was sick, but it was the most raw shit I've ever done, man. It was just nuts.
Oh man, I'm buzzing.
That's fucking real.
Yeah, it was nuts.
You know what is like, this is Chip's dream.
What?
Like just doing like these type of videos, like going and finding like and doing the stuff like that.
Yeah, it was mad.
There's obviously like a number of travel creators out there that you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. Is there like a collaboration for you that you're there like, nah, this would be sick to go and do a video with?
Say, to be honest, man, I've never done a video like with any other travel creators because I find it like, I'd find it quite self-conscious. Like when you guys first started doing collabs, I know that you've been doing them for fucking years and it was your thing to start off with. Did you find that it was like, did your performance on camera lessen when you were with someone else? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Depends who it is, I guess.
Yeah, yes. If you're already mates with them, I guess it's different. The
chemistry's there or not.
Yeah, like if me and Chip jump on the camera, it's the same. Or me and any of our close friends, like if we jump on now. If it's somebody that I'm not too familiar with, then at least to begin with, it's like that.
Yeah.
But then honestly, I reckon after a few hours, you're probably just there like,
fuck it.
It is what it is. Like,
yeah. There's one dude called Small Brained American. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
American dude. Actually, it's so mad. He was someone that I looked up to when I was just starting to blow up. And he mentioned me on one of his podcasts. He does like a little podcast. Cool. It's a small one, but he mentioned me, man. And it was this full circle moment of like, shit, this was a guy that I looked up to. And, he's talking about me blowing up, and it's just nuts. So he'd be someone I'd love to collab with. There's the whole Bold and Bankrupt thing.
Yes,
Bold and Bankrupt?
Yeah.
He's obviously huge in the travel game. I just don't know. There's a lot of stuff online about like who he really is and all this kind of.
I've seen the controversy before.
The controversy. So I just don't know if that would be a good avenue to take anyway.
Do you want to know one that I think might be a cool video?
Hit me.
For you is some sort of like, you'd have to reach out to him. He doesn't really have to do much, but it's more so him setting like some sort of challenge or whatever. It's the GeoGuessr.
Mate, you know what? Someone put
GeoBolt, is that his name?
Yeah.
Rainbolt.
Rainbolt. Rainbolt. Yeah.
His name, and he's like the GOAT of GeoGuessr.
Yeah, I've seen him. He'll be like a piece of dirt or whatever, and he can tell exactly like it's in fucking Arizona or something. Like, how do you do this?
Yeah, or just something like. Or it's maybe along your travels, you just managed to take a series of like really obscure photos.
Yeah.
You ping them back to him and you're there like, let me know where I am.
That's a great shout.
And that way you don't have to like change your content too much. It's more just like a little challenge.
Like a little, mate, fuck yeah. That's a great idea. I'm going to reach out to him. I don't know how I would do that.
Yeah, he does do quite a lot of like.
Does he?
From what I've seen, he's done bits like that. Yeah. I've seen especially he has this really cool series where people are there like, hey, this is a picture of like my mum and dad, they both passed away, this is a photo of them, and there's like a mountain in the background or something. And they're like, can somebody please help identify this? And he's like, cool, we did like 2 minutes, bro, has it?
Yeah, man.
And it's like, wow.
Wait, do you know who did reach out to me? And this again is absolutely nuts. Kyle from Nelk messaged me on Instagram. Swear down. Literally probably about 2 weeks ago after the second video, and it was on the official Nelk Instagram account, private message on Instagram, and it's like, yo, love the video. You got any crazy trips coming up, right? So in my head, I'm like, do they want to like hang out? Do they want to do a thing? And I said, I said, let's do something. It could either be like, I think they wanted to do Afghanistan or maybe Iraq. And I said, I've been to Iraq already. And since then, like, he's like, yeah, cool. I think we'd make really good content. I've got his WhatsApp number and shit. He's like, I think we'd make really good content together. And I really like the boys, and I think what they've got is great, but I think we're so different in terms of like, kind of not our values, because they're good guys, but they make videos like, let's bring a virgin to fucking Russia and get him laid. Do you know what I mean? Which is great. It's funny. It's their thing. But my whole thing is kind of like, is about humanity, and it's about going somewhere and learning from the people and
the culture.
Exactly. So I'm absolutely more than happy to help him out. I just don't know if. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's...
Yeah, I think you're right in terms of there is clearly a difference there. I think maybe if it's a bit of you showing them round somewhere or going and doing bits and then just leaving them to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's like a little bit of...
So I can just kind of get that connection, and it doesn't have to
They've got a big audience. If you can tap into that.
Huge. I mean, they're just about to put that video out with Conor McGregor. And in my head, I'm like, how the fuck sick? I was like 8 months ago, I was teaching English, man. And now... You know,
the other thing I always just think about this sort of thing is like, fuck it, why not, bro?
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. Like, at the end of the day, like, give it a go. Even if it's something that afterwards you go, wasn't really my thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't even come across in the best light.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I gave it a whack.
Yeah.
Like, at least I'll always, instead of rather looking back and going, I wonder if I'd actually gone with them to there.
Yeah.
There's also an element of it too. You can still be like working with them and stick to your values.
For sure.
Almost like do the stuff that you would normally do in a video.
Yeah.
And if they don't like abide by your rules almost, you'd be like, no, I disagree with what you're doing. And then if you stand by that, I think that makes you look good anyway.
And I think if we were going to do something like Afghanistan, you know, it would have to be... I'd have to say to let boys, you can't just go there and like run around and chat up birds on the street and like fucking, you know what I mean? Because you'll just get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I would maybe even consider being like, look, bring a smaller team. We'll go out. So I've got contacts there. I can get us out with the Taliban, and we can do like 5 days living with the Taliban.
You know when people go like, oh, like who's the biggest celebrity in your phone book? Bro's dropping out a Taliban number. That's crazy. And they're like, I've got a real Ferdinand, and they're like, yeah, how about the Taliban?
The Taliban's a good one. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Taliban.
Wait, don't tell about what they saved in your contacts as Taliban number one.
Taliban accountant.
Number 2. Yeah.
He's got all the
imagine
different categories.
But yeah, man, look like I thought like a Nelk / full send, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That would be a
good. That would be a good.
Yeah, it'd be dope, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Just send it, man.
Fuck, man. Whenever I speak to travel, it makes me, because I love traveling as well. I've always traveled.
You want to? I've known that you've been trying to like. I remember I listened to another podcast with you, and you were like talking about how, you know, you tried to integrate travel and obviously food as well as a big thing. But then the travel stuff wasn't resonating as big with the audience when you first started doing it.
Yeah, it was
so
a weird
took a bit of a step back.
And it's also just like in where I am in my journey as well. I can't, with traveling, it takes up just obviously a lot of time. You're away. Like, you know, we have the fellow studios to run as a company. Like there's a lot going on. But where I've found is like a really good sort of middle ground is combining it with food bit. Yeah. So one thing that I'm definitely going to be doing is going to like Southeast Asia, spending like 10 days. Yeah. And I'll probably hammer out like 5 different videos when I'm out there.
Yeah.
And just like kind of bulk record it, then I'm done for like 3 months, and that's fine, and I can take that amount of time off. Yeah. But what I can't be doing is kind of like fucking off to Bali for a month or whatever. But having that food thing there also helps me with my ideas, because it gives me a very clear, in the weirdest way, the more niche down you are in terms of topic, it's much easier to come up with ideas. A lot of people, if you look at our old content, they're like, oh mate, there's so many different ideas to do. Yeah. It's actually really difficult to come up with ideas when you don't have a particular niche down.
You need that kind of, you need something that's going to drive the narrative.
Exactly. Sure. And, you know, a great example, I use this all the time, is our friend Chris MD, who makes a lot of football videos. Yeah. So he actually probably has a list of like 150, 200 different video ideas, because when you're contained and you're forced to think just within the football realm and what you can do in that space, you become a lot more creative, and you can come up with ideas that match the narrative. And as soon as I went to food, mate, I genuinely have unlimited ideas now. Whereas before, I was struggling with ideas. So by putting a lot more barriers and boundaries in place, I found myself being way more creative.
I think that's what's difficult with what I do now, because like Simon Wilson, for example, he's a great travel vlogger, but his, you know, he'll be like the 5-star train or 1-star train or 1-star plane. It's great, but my favorite way of making videos is like, I'm going to start in Beijing and I'm going to end in here a week later, and I'm just going to see what happens on the go. So all of the titles and the thumbnails, they happen afterwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas what you guys do is almost you think of the title and the thumbnail first, and then you have the video. Whereas I have absolutely no idea what the content's going to be. I just have no idea, and that's my favorite way of doing it because I can just follow the story.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That must also really help you because you can kind of just say like, well, fuck it, this is for the plot. Like I'm just going to find out.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, man.
And whereas if you put those guardrails up early doors, it'll stop you from veering off and going and actually experiencing maybe something even more insane, but you didn't know that was going to happen.
That's why I like hitchhiking, because I can, you don't know what the story is. You could get in this car and this guy's going to say, literally, when I was in Iraq, man, I got in this dude's car and I was translating, and he goes, I'm a Syrian refugee and I'm going back to my Syrian refugee camp. And I went with him and I went to his camp and I was hanging out with his family and his kids. And that's something, if I'd planned anything else, it would never have happened. And you really need to say to yourself, like, am I willing to deviate so far off of my plan in order to have this adventure and have this experience? And you just need to do that. And you do that when you travel anyway, even if you're making content or not. My number one piece of advice, if people are traveling for the first time, is like, just say yes to everything. Just say yes to everything, because you don't know where you're going to end up. Stay in that hostel, meet that person. They're going this way. Come with us. And then you look back three months later and you go, holy shit! Like, that was a chain of events that happened. This butterfly effect, the chain of events that happened. And now I've had this wicked 3-4 month trip. And it's all because of that one thing I said yes to at the beginning of the trip. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. If there was one tip to give to travelers out there, and it could be something maybe a little bit more practical or whatever, what is it that you'd tell people traveling?
People traveling, number one tip, just go to where you want to go. At the moment, like, Thailand is trending, fucking China is trending, wherever. Go somewhere that you have always wanted to go, and go alone. My number one tip would be go alone. You
solo it.
Just solo it, dude. It'll be so much easier to meet people. You'll be much more approachable, and you'll be so much more proud of yourself after your trip, because you'll just go like, I did this alone, man, and it was scary, and it'll be scary. The first few days, man, I've literally sat as a fucking 26-year-old man at the time. I've sat in hotel rooms alone at the beginning of a trip and cried, because I've just left a job, I've just left a girlfriend, I've just left this, I've just left that, and now I'm the loneliest I've ever been. And then 2 days later, you'll meet someone and you'll go, holy shit, what was I worried about?
Sick.
So I'd say go alone, be prepared for it to be sad, but and lonely, because it will be.
Amazing. Well, I think that's good. If you can embrace that, then it makes those sort of more social moments, the big moments, like, you feel even better knowing that you've come from this maybe lonely time.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, look, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Honestly,
thanks for having me, man.
Crazy fascinating, and I feel like we need to wheel this up in a year's time once you've gone on some more crazy adventures.
Also, mate, let me know if you're going to be in Southeast Asia and you want to do anything.
Mate, I need to get you on some food bits.
Let's hang out. I'll take you to some good spots all over.
Unreal, bro. Thank you so much, guys. Where can people find you? Where are the main spots?
Instagram, Mike KYT, and YouTube, Mike OK.
Amazing. Right, guys. Well, there you have it. And of course, if you did enjoy this episode, then make sure you leave a rating. If you are watching this, then please subscribe and leave a comment on your thoughts on this podcast. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.